A lot of people always ask me, where can I get my food truck? Where can I buy one? Or if there's something that I can find within my budget. Well, I'm here to spill the tea on how you can find your dream food truck and not get screwed over. So let's talk about a food truck builder. When you're trying to find the perfect food truck builder, you have to think about all the pros and cons, or at least all the green and red flags that there are when you're finding the food truck builder. Green flags that you want to look out for are contracts. Contracts are key. If you don't have a written agreement, it's a dub. The reason why you need a contract is so that it protects not only you but the builder. In the event something were to happen and one of you don't follow through within that contract, everything is written down on paper. Another green flag are warranties. Now, warranties can be distributed in different ways. So you have to ask the builder, what warranties do they offer from their company, and are there any warranties on the trailer, the food truck, or the equipment? When you find a builder that's very clear on the financial and all the terms and conditions, and they are very clear and precise with you, that's definitely a good sign. Why? Because if someone is just trying to sell, and then get you out the door, that's not something that you want to look for. You want to be able to build a relationship with this builder because you and them are going to have a long-term relationship when it comes to this complete build-out of your food truck. Not only that, you're investing thousands of dollars. We're not talking hundreds of bucks. We're talking about thousands. So having someone you can trust and build that relationship with and being very clear on those terms is extremely important. Your final green flag that you want to look out for is, are they Googleable? Do they have a website, and are there any good reviews? Of course, there's questions that you want to ask a builder, but you have to do your research and do your due diligence. I will always say that. When you're looking into someone's website, you want to see what type of equipment do they sell. If you're not familiar with them, you can do your research on that. You want to see, what are people saying about this builder? Are they good? Are they bad? What are their qualities? Are there any cons to them? And also being able to find them on Google, or at least have some experience with someone who's already worked with them. If you can't find them, if you've never heard of them, obviously there's a small risk, but that doesn't mean that they're not necessarily a great food truck builder. Maybe they just started out. So keep those things in mind when you're finding the right food truck builder. So let's talk about these red flags real quick. I hate that I have to say this, but I have seen so many different people get screwed over by doing cash transactions, verbal agreements, not being able to follow through with the deadlines, and all kinds of stuff. So here are a couple red flags that you need to look out for when you're trying to find a food truck builder. Cash only transactions. If someone is telling you, oh, I only accept cash, you can't pay me with check, you can't pay me with card, although cash is king, yes, but if that is their only form of payment, you have no record of being able to show that you've actually paid for this food truck. So in the event something were to happen and you had to move forward with some legal actions, you can't really prove it unless there's a receipt involved, or if you have some type of money order, check, and what have you. One thing that I want to point out, which I hate to say it, but we have to talk about it because no one likes to discuss it, is buying anything that is outside of this country. Whether it's Alibaba, whether it's being manufactured from Mexico, what have you. Keep in mind, when you're buying something that is not distributed or manufactured here, warranties are completely out the window. Why? Because you're technically buying it as is. And although you're buying it brand new, if something were to happen, you have to replace that out of your pocket instead of it being replaced by the actual builder. If you have a builder that's not going to tell you a time frame as to when they're going to finish their food truck for you, then of course that's another red flag. Why? Because now you're going to be in there 2 years, 3 years down the line, which I've seen that before also, and you're not going to know when you're going to eat your food truck. Not only that, you're losing a potential chance of revenue, which we all know that when you're investing in something, our goal is to quickly get our ROI up, so in the future, we're able to know when we can hit our goal when it comes to capping out for all our sales. Finally, your final red flag, which I get this a lot too, and I still don't understand why people still do it, is someone who is quick to sell but very slow to communicate. Once you've been in the office and you got to speak with them, you got a feel for them, but they're trying to sell to you instead of just being with you and communicating with you, that's a red flag. Why? Because once you go out that door, if you don't say yes to them, chances are they're probably not going to communicate with you. You may have a couple questions, you may be on the fence. They don't care whether or not you're going to make a decision with them or not. What they want is to be able to sell to you, and that's just the bottom line. If you're trying to contact them for other questions that you have because you're on the fence and you're not sure and they're pretty hesitant when sharing all that information with you, you want to consider that a red flag, because now that you didn't say yes to them, they may treat you differently. So keep an eye on that when you're looking for this builder. Next option we have is Facebook Marketplace. Now keep in mind, with Facebook Marketplace, you can get something new or you can get something used. And people may ask you, how can I get something new? Well, sometimes people just completely build out a food truck, invest in that, and then they flip it and sell it. So there are some gems out there that you can find, but although you're buying something on Facebook Marketplace and it's fairly new, you might as well just go through a builder who has an actual warranty. So that's something that you want to look out for. When you buy something used, obviously there's going to be cons to that. So there are some pros and cons when it comes to going through the Facebook Marketplace. There's only 2 pros when it comes to finding something on the Facebook Marketplace. Now keep in mind, these 2 pros aren't really the greatest, but it's something that you can consider when you're trying to find a used food truck. The first pro is it's obviously substantially cheaper, maybe not by too much. I wouldn't say something by the grands, like 20, 30, 10 grand, but significantly cheaper than an actual new food truck. Second pro is that it's ready to go. So you don't have to wait for a builder to completely build this out for you. It's ready to go, you get it inspected, and you're on the road. So here are the cons when you buy on the Facebook Marketplace. Obviously, even though it's cheaper, you have to keep in mind there's no warranty. Once you buy it, it's as is. Anything that you're buying on Facebook Marketplace is as is. Unless someone that is a builder is selling on the Facebook Marketplace and they're willing to offer a warranty, you're going to get something that is used with no warranty. Another con you have to consider is that when you're buying a used food truck from the Facebook Marketplace, there is an engine in that. So you have to get a mechanic that can speculate that engine for you, because obviously over time, with miles and the usage of that food truck, it could possibly break down, which can be very, very costly in the end. You also run the risk of purchasing something that is not properly working inside. So any of equipment, any type of refrigeration that's in there, those things possibly don't even work. So keep in mind that if you're purchasing something, just like if you're purchasing a car, you want to test drive it, see if there's a chance where you can actually plug it in, see if the refrigeration's working, and see if you can possibly test out the equipment that's in there to make sure you're purchasing the right food truck. Another con that a lot of people don't discuss, but I've seen it happen before, is someone will put something on the Facebook Marketplace and they'll say, hey, yeah, this one already passed inspection, here's the sticker. And I've seen where some people put a fake sticker on there to say that it passed inspection just to up the price. When you go to put your paperwork in, you fail inspection. Why? Because they never really passed inspection in the first place. So before you buy a food truck on Facebook Marketplace, you need to make sure that it's up and running and up to code. Public auction. This is the final and last place where you can find a food truck, new or used. Now keep in mind, most public auctions don't sell the actual food truck, because technically when it comes to the auctions, they have to be confiscated, so they're not really in the public auction. But you can find an empty food truck or step van or an empty trailer. If you end up purchasing something from the public auction that is completely empty and just a shell, there's 2 options to that. You can either bring it to the food truck builder so that they can build it out and customize it for you, or you can build it out yourself. So if you're going to be self-building a food truck, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind when it comes to building your own food truck out. There's 3 contractors that you're always going to need: a gas guy, an electrician, and a plumber. If you're not going to be cooking any food at all and all you need is electricity and plumbing, then that's all you have to focus on. But if you are cooking any kind of food, you have to have someone who is specialized in this department, because you cannot do this yourself. When you are building out your own food truck, keep in mind, yes, you will save money, but in the end, it gets very costly because there's a lot of things that you're not going to have access to, like materials, metal, etc. A lot of these places that provide materials and metal are typically manufacturers that sell not to the public, but to the actual builder. So just keep in mind when you're trying to get access to materials. When you are self-building your food truck, another thing you have to keep in mind is insulating your food truck or trailer. Yes, it does get hot at times, so if you're not insulating and you don't know anything about drywall, metal, insulation, then that's another contractor that you have to contact in order to build your food truck out properly. And lastly, keep in mind when you are building out your own food truck, it does take a long time, especially when things are in back order, if you're trying to access some type of equipment and it takes a long time from wherever you're ordering it from. So be patient with yourself if you are going to take on this project. bonus tip. So we talked about everything you need to know on where you can find and buy your food truck. But one piece of advice that I do want to share with you all is when you're actually ready to move forward, make sure that you have a menu. That way you know how you're going to properly set up your kitchen. Thank you everyone for watching my YouTube video. If you found this video helpful, keep in mind you can like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and in the future you can learn all about food trucks. Also, I am a food truck builder here in Tampa, Florida, so Dreams Gone Mobile does offer that as a service along with licensing. See you all next week.